Welcome everybody, Anthony here. It is Thursday, October 30th, 2025 at about 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Today I want to do a quick study and I want to look at and answer a question. And we're going to be looking at 1 Peter, a verse in 1 Peter and a section of verses from Psalm 34. I was watching this morning and I'm still watching it now, there's these debates going back and forth with our so-called leaders that have shut down the government. And they're arguing each side is arguing their cases back and forth, one side blaming the other, one side claiming this is going to happen, or when this happens, you have nobody but yourself to blame, talking about the other side. And they're both spewing their vitriol, their hate, and both, when you listen to them, you can hear the undercurrent of evil on both sides. If you really watch closely and listen, you could hear and see the undercurrent of evil coming from these leaders in our own nation that use the people, us, on all our levels, from the lowest, poorest amongst us to the most wealthy amongst us, gets used as pawns to further their schemes, to push agendas whose end results will not benefit the people at all. And they use those now. They're using those now on, food stamps, have EBT, and get assistance from the government in order to purchase food. They're using these people as pawns. These people, some are rising up and recording themselves saying they're going to do all this criminal activity starting, Saturday, because that's when the money runs out, November 1st. So is this a possibility? Can it happen? Yes, it can happen. And yes, it's a very strong possibility. And yes, many people might do it, even if it gets settled. They might still do it because of everything that's being spewed and the hatred that's being pushed and the divisiveness of our leaders, dividing the people, causing the people to continually headbutt and fight while they continue to not have answers for anything. And this current administration, like the last administration, is doing the same. They're in it to win it for themselves. They're setting up deals for themselves to enrich themselves and all those in the upper echelons of their leadership or their tribe, whatever you want to call them, while we suffer the consequences. And many, as I have talked about, are deceived and they continue to follow one group or the other, fighting for that group. That group is going to finally do something. We're finally winning. When we're at the cusp of war, we're at the cusp of a draft, we're at the cusp of seeing this country being fully destroyed and rebuilt into something that we would have never hoped or wished for. So evil can be done by a person on an individual level, individual people, us. The Bible even says we're evil, we're bad, we're not good. Okay, all have sinned, broken Yah's commandments, his laws, his right rulings, his right standard. Therefore, we are not righteous in his eyes. Also, groups can plan evil and violence and deceit, groups of people, two or more, gangs, cartels, whatever you want to call them, criminal organizations, government organizations masquerading as government but are really criminal. Nations can also plot violence. Nations against other nations, taking their resources, making up reasons why to go after them. And not saying the other nations are right, are, perfect themselves. They might be an evil nation as well. But it's one nation going after the other nation because they're stronger and because they can do it, to take their resources, to change their, to enrich themselves. Calling it something else. We're seeing that right now being played out before us by our own government. And they ran on a platform of no war. So individuals, groups, nations, all can be guilty of planning, inflicting their evil and deceit and deception upon others. Evil can be used on many different levels to inflict its desired end. Evil intent. The intent is evil. What's your intent, Anthony? My intent is to see you homeless. Well, if that's my intent, I may very well achieve it if I could attack that person and destroy them with deceit and lies and treachery or whatever, and cut them off and bring them down and not want to see them prosper. If that's my intent. Intent is very, very strong. What I intend to go after this one or that one, malign their character, attack their family, spew lies, etc. That's evil. And the Bible, and what we're going to look at today, I'm going to read 1 Peter 3:12. And the Apostle Peter says this: because the eyes of Yehua are on the righteous. They're on the righteous, it says. He says, and his ears, Yahuwah's ears, God, Elohim, are open to their prayers. Okay? His ears are open to your prayers. If you are righteous. What's righteous, Aunt? How do I become righteous? Do I just be good? Well, in Luke verse 1, 5, and 6, I'll paraphrase it here. Zechariah and Elizabeth, the parents of John the Baptist, Yohanan the Baptist, the immerser, it is said that they were righteous before Elohim. This is what Luke writes. Walking, active, walking. So Zechariah and his wife Elizabeth are actively walking in all the commands and righteousnesses of Yehua. They weren't perfect, but they were walking in his commands, being obedient to him, understanding that he was their Savior. He was their God. He was their Elohim. And he was going to provide. And therefore, his ears were attentive to their prayers. That's why he answered them and used them mightily in the kingdom to bring forth and to nurture the Mashiach who was coming, Messiah Yahusha. And that's an example. Noah was considered righteous. Abraham was considered righteous. Why? Because they heard from Yah, they followed his ways, his commands, his righteousnesses, and walked in them no matter what anyone else said. They didn't go down the path of evil. Not perfection, righteous in his eyes. Actively doing his commands. Now, Peter was drawing from Psalm 34, which asks the question, and this is the title today of the study. The title is, Who Desires Life and to See Good? Who desires life and to see good? That's the question that I'm asking. And in Psalm 34, the psalmist says, starting in verse 12, and we'll read through verse 16, let me teach you the fear of Yahuwah. Who is the man, verse 12 says, who is the man who desires life, who loves many days in order to see good? Verse 13, Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Turn away from evil and do good, verse 14. Seek peace and pursue it. Peace is hard. You have to seek it and you have to pursue it. You pursue it by following Yah's commands, his right rulings, because that will always lead you into shalom, which is peace, true peace. It's his peace. Verse 15, the eyes of Yehud are on the righteous. We just looked at that. That's what Peter was talking about. That's what Luke is talking about in Luke chapter 1, 5 through 6, about Zechariah and his wife. And his ears unto their cry. Verse 16, the face. Now the face of Yehud, his ears are attentive to the righteous. His face, though, verse 16 says, is against evildoers. Those plotting evil, individuals, groups, nations, governments, to cut off their remembrance from the earth. To cut off their remembrance from the earth. Evil, used in this psalm, is Ra. Hebrew 74:51 in the Strongs. It means bad, giving pain, unkind, vicious, malignant. This is what we're witnessing. From individual levels, through group levels, through national levels and countries. This is what we see today. It says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. Okay? Deceit. Mirma, treachery. Back up to verse 12. Who is the man who desires life? Life is being alive, it's living, it's revival, it's renewal. Who desires life? Who desires life? I do. Do you? Being alive, revival, renewal. Who loves many days? Yom, days, that's a 24-hour period. Yah used the language in Genesis chapter 1, each 24-hour day. And God did this on the first day, the second day. That's Yom, that thinking day in and day out. A Yom, a 24-hour period, or a lifetime. Who loves many days? A life, living many long days together in order to see good. What's good? Tob. Pleasant, prosperity, happiness, good things, morally good. Do we see that around the world? Do we see that in the Middle East? Do we see that in Europe and Ukraine? Do we see that in Africa, where they're killing thousands and thousands upon Christians and other people every single day in the news? But there's no awareness. There's no cry out. There's nothing coming from the world. Just evil and deceit. Turn away from evil, verse 14, and do good. Again, those words. Seek peace, shalom. Strong's H, 7965. It means completeness, soundness, welfare, healthy, prosperity, friendship, tranquility. Those are just some of the meanings. It's not just peace, doesn't just mean, oh, there's a ceasefire, so there's peace. No, that's not what shalom means. We want true shalom. This is what the psalmist is saying. Turn away from evil and deceit and deception and plotting and planning and abandon it. Turn back. Seek peace. Pursue it actively. It takes each person to actively pursue it and actively turn from the wrong path and get on the right path. Make teshuvah. Turn. The eyes of Yehud are on the righteous. Sadiq, that's that word. Sadiq is righteous. It's just, lawful, correct, right. It could be in government, in one's cause, in conduct and character, as justified and vindicated by Yah. And it's covenant. It has to do with covenant keeping. The face of Yehud is against evildoers, to cut off the remembrance from the earth, because they're not in covenant with him. They've broken covenant. They refuse to be in covenant with him and follow his ways. Therefore, they follow by default the ways of Hashatan, of Satan, and they're on his side. That's where you don't want to be. We don't want to be on that side, going down that road. We want to desire life, tranquility, and to see good, to see many days with our families, to live in harmony with our neighbor, what Messiah talked about. Love Yehua with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. If ever you get confused about whatever the Bible teaches, you could go back to the words of Messiah, and just those words alone will tune you into the rest of the Bible. It opens the door for the rest of the Torah, because everything hangs on that. That's what we want today. We want to see Yehua hearing our prayers, turning to him, because his way is the right way through Messiah. And his ears are open to us. He's waiting. But his face is against those who do evil, and they're going to be cut off. Cut off their remembrance from the earth. Verse 16 of Psalm 34. That is not a good thing. So I hope this study today, go back and read the scriptures and look up the words, look up the meanings. Shalom does not just mean there's no war, so now there's shalom in the whole world. No, because people could be plotting their next case, their next war against the country or the people or the tribe they're going after next, because they have evil intent. Yah bless everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Anthony signing off.